Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Light Sports Ramble. It is Thursday night, which means I am joined by my co-host, Evan Witalison, which is always a great time. We are going to keep it under 15, though, Evan, so I can upload it from my phone since I am in nice, beautiful California. Not sunny today because I didn't get here till late, but it is beautiful. The company's putting me up in a 5-star resort. Gotta love it. But I want to get right into it. I think we got a great topic. I know that you and a coworker had discussed it, so I'm going to turn it right over to you so we can get into tonight's topic.
Well, welcome. It's always a pleasure to join you. And before I get started on the topic, I hope you enjoy your stay in California, work related or not. Sounds like they're bringing you some cool gifts while you're out there too. And you're just telling me that somebody just stopped in before we got started. But like you said, a coworker of mine was talking at work the other day. He's a big football guy. Unfortunately he's a Bear fan, but nobody's perfect.
Yeah. But not everyone can like the Packers, Evan.
No. Well, they don't have to like the Packers, just don't like the Bears.
Yeah, I agree with you there. we gotta change him with that.
Yeah, but the question he was posing, he's a big football guy. He knows this stuff pretty well. He was wondering, what's happened to the Giants and the Steelers? Why are they so bad so quickly? And it got me thinking, and I was like, this would be a perfect topic if our, Twitter fans don't give us any questions to talk about because, you being out in, well, not right now, but you being out in Pittsburgh, you're in Steeler country and you're not too far, from Giants country either. So it would be a good topic to discuss. And, a couple things I've come across is looking at the Giants and the Steelers. If you look at their drafting history over the past, few years, they haven't been drafting very well. You look at the Giants since 2008, they've only hit on, in the first round, 2 guys, Jason Pierre-Paul and Akeem Nicks. And then Ruben Randall, who was a second-round pick, is turning it on recently, and Victor Cruz was a late-round pick. And then the Steelers haven't really had an impact guy, per se, since they drafted Ben Roethlisberger in 2004. They've drafted Heath Miller, Antonio Holmes, no longer with the team. Timmons still with the team and aging. Wolfie's still with the team and aging. Mendenhall's gone. Mike Wallace is gone. Pouncey is still there. But he's been hurt off and on. And DeCastro, one of the better guards in the league, is still there, but he's been hurt more than actually playing. So, you look at the way the two teams are made up, they've been missing a lot more on the draft than they've actually been hitting. And it makes you look at, the successful teams as of late, like the Patriots, the Packers, it makes you kind of appreciate, the type of general manager we have. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're absolutely right. I spend a lot of time listening to Sports Talk Radio, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. This was a topic that actually came up a couple weeks ago, and I actually called in and actually had a chance to get on the air and voice my opinion why the Steelers are struggling. And you hit it right on the head. It's the draft class. They're not drafting well. And, when you don't draft well, it puts your team behind the 8 ball. Because you're going to try to develop these players, and where's the other option? Free agency. And when you look at it, you're absolutely right. I mean, Pouncey, I think, was a good pick. The problem is he has been getting hurt. He's hurt again this year. Now, I don't think it's because of his lack of talent. I mean, it is just one of those things where maybe a freak injury here and there, but he was even hurt in the Super Bowl when they played against the Packers. And so he has got some great talent, but he's been having a hard time to stay on the field, which we all know the center is a key component to that offensive line, and the Steelers' offensive line is just downright terrible. I mean, Big Ben is on his back more than I can even imagine watching the games than I do, and luckily he can get out and make things happen, but that line is just bad. And you're absolutely, you look at the Giants too. Their draft class has not produced, and you don't even need to produce superstars. You only need to bring in players that can fill roles and play within the system. And neither team has done that. And so all of a sudden, you're looking at where do we go? And that I think is the biggest problem going on right now. The second thing that I'm going to touch on with the Steelers is that defense is just getting old. Yeah, they're just getting old, and that goes back to not drafting well to replace these players that are getting old. I mean, you got Palomalu, but I watched the game, and he had an interception, and I didn't see the burst. He got it, and he tiptoed and didn't have that great first burst that he normally has. So they're aging. The Giants, I just look at it, and they're always trying to repatch their, part of that defensive secondary, trying to sign second-tier free agents. Where's the draft?
Linebacking core, too. They keep trying to patch up that linebacking core with people that can't do it anymore.
Exactly. So I think that's the biggest problem. Now, my next thing that I'm going to bring up for you, and you can chime in on this, is Tom Coughlin's approach finally over in New York? Is it a coaching issue? Does he have enough talent to win? And is it Coughlin that's part of the problem in New York?
I think a lot of it in New York has to do with the personnel guys because, I like Tom Coughlin as a coach. He's a bit of a dictator, but he's a heck of a coach. And if you look at that Giant roster this season, they don't have a running back, really. They got Brandon Jacobs back, and they got Pete Taylor back to come up. Eli Manning has been dreadful this year. And, I don't know what Eli Manning's problem is, but that offensive line is not playing well at all. I was watching a few weeks ago when there was Bears and Giants on Thursday Night Football, and it was the first Thursday Night Football game I actually got to watch on NFL Network. And, I just got NFL Network pretty recently. And Eli Manning is, running for his life out of Bears pass rush, and up to that point has been not good. And then, outside of Ruben, who was drafted in 2012, he's still developing, and Victor Cruz, Hakeem Nixon's been a huge disappointment this year. He's a free agent at the end of the year. I think it more has to do with the personnel guys in New York than it does Tom Coughlin. Is he on the hot seat? Yes, because the coach is always scapegoat. But that's the old GM, and his name is escaping me right now, retired. This new guy they had, I'm not impressed with the job that he's doing.
So then let's turn the tables over to Pittsburgh. We know Pittsburgh's had 3 coaches in the last 40 years,
Yeah.
And I don't think when you look at it that Tomlin's job is in jeopardy. But when you listen to the talk show, some of the fans want his job in jeopardy. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, there was a tweet from Packer Nation today about bandwagon fans, and I retweeted it. I had a chance to read a little bit of the article in the airport, but I can't believe people call up because he's struggling this year. And as you said, I think it is a personnel issue with the Steelers, also like the Giants. Why are fans calling for Tomlin's head? Do you think it's Tomlin's fault?
No, I don't think it's Tomlin's fault at all. It's just that the coach is an easy scapegoat, because I can't even name you the GM of either team are. The GMs are usually, silent. No one knows who they are. They're just the head coach is an easy scapegoat. We're not worrying about being the head coach, rather than looking at the personnel the coach has around him who he's trying to coach. And like you were talking about the Steelers, they're kind of trapped between a rock and a hard place. Their older veterans the veterans are getting older, and the young guys are not producing like they're hoping. So, they have a lot of old guys on defense, a lot of young guys. The young guys are failing to produce, and the old guys, the veterans are just getting old. And Tomlin's trying to do what he can with the personnel grouping that he has. One thing I would say with the Steelers is they're very loyal to their head coaches because, Bill Cowher they're very good at developing talent, and that's what Pittsburgh and that's what New York's lacking right now. They're not developing the talent they need. I don't think that falls on the head coach per se. He did put the staff together, but I think the head coach needs to start holding his staff accountable and getting people there who can develop talent.
Well, I agree with you. I had mentioned this in a ramble that I had done, that I think Todd Haley's going to be gone, and I think Dick LeBeau is going to be gone. And I'm not sure if that's going to come from Tomlin himself or if it's going to come from higher up, because like Green Bay, Pittsburgh does not take losing easily. And, they're struggling, but I don't see it getting better. I mean, where's the outlook, Evan? I mean, the young guys are not developing. So are we going to see a couple years of the Giants and Steelers being bad? Or is this just a flash in the pan 1 year and they'll be back next year? But if it goes to what we're saying, I think this could be a couple-year thing on both sides.
I agree. I think it's going to be a few years before either team can really get back to what they once were, unless they dabble in free agency and get, can you look at what the Steelers have at the key positions. The running back bell that they drafted this year is doing pretty well. They still got Roethlisberger, but they don't have really any, top receivers. And then the Giants, you got Eli Manning, you got Victor Cruz, and you got Ruben Randall, who's developing. But a running back, they put a lot of faith in. David Wilson has been a fumbling machine. So unless they go out and dabble in free agency a little bit, which neither team tends to do a lot of, I think it's going to be 2 years before they get back to what they were.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, and I'm gonna kind of flip something over here. I think they need to work on their defense, because you and I have talked about this with the Packers, and we talked about it with the Bear game. If the defense can't stop anybody, and the offense is going 3 and out, it's tiring them out. But when you look at their defenses, both those defenses are not helping their offense at all.
No, not at all.
So that's the way I mean, and that's going to take that. I don't think you can fix their woes in free agency on both those teams. It's an overall defensive team effort, and there's a lot of gaps in both of those defenses which need to be filled. And so it's going to have to be addressed from the draft, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And unfortunately, the thing with the draft is if you want to do it, if you want to improve, significantly next year, it's going to be very hard to rely on the draft because they might take a little bit to develop, if they develop at all. So that's what I was getting at in regards to if they want to get back to where they were immediately with the talent they already have on the roster, then they might have to dabble go in free agency, and we don't know how the Steelers hate doing that.
Yep, the Steelers are like the Packers. They like to develop from within, and they haven't been doing it. So, I think our points today, and we agree on this, it's the draft. They got to draft and they got to develop players. And I think that's why the Packers have been so successful. When they get injuries, these young guys come in and they're developed and ready to go. But with that said, Evan, we're right around 14 minutes. So, as always, I appreciate co-hosting the Red Light Sports Ramble with you. I'm going to enjoy my time in California. Maybe we'll surprise the guests, and maybe we'll do another episode before Tuesday. But with that said, you and I will definitely get together next Tuesday, do Packer chat, recap the Eagles game, and talk about that. So with that said, we'll see you at the next red light. Talk to you soon.